Okay, everyone, welcome to the Untap podcast, episode 3. And we got a fun one because we got some fun decks to talk about. We got some fun cards that are coming out in Kaldheim to talk about. And I got another game here for Mr. JT. So, everyone, I'm Jonny Esports, joined by JT. How are you doing, my dude?
I'm doing great here. I've just arrived back from the Jankyard. We're doing wonderful. It's good to talk to you again, my friend.
Yeah, it's awesome. We were just playing some Magic together. We were playing in your tournament, and it was fun. Not a big show this week, but it's still fun anyway. So links below and stuff for where his tournaments are. If you guys want to join that, it's super fun. You should definitely check them out sometime. But let's go over our topics for the day. So we're going to go back to an old favorite, all the way back to episode 1, to play some 2 Truths, 1 Color Pie. And then we're going to talk about a little bit what decks we're playing, as always. And then we'll end off here with some more Kaldheim Sports. We have actually seen them all now. I probably only have 1 card to talk about this week, and then next week I still will reserve a little bit to still talk about some more stuff next week. I don't know what you have. I look forward to what you have. But those will be our topics for this week.
I've got a couple of decks that I'm building with, or cards to talk about. But then I think next week I might also talk about the new decks I'm building or built for the early access day, which is next Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's get into 2 Truths, 1 Color Pie. So if you're not familiar, basically it's 2 Truths, 1 Lie, but with Magic cards. And how we're doing it is I'm going to name 3 cards for Mr. JT over here, and I'm color shifted one of them, and he's got to figure out which one's incorrect. So the theme of this week, JT, is I have some life-gaining white cards. Because that's so typically white. That's what they do.
So one of them's a black card. Gotcha.
One of them is not white, but we'll find out what it is. I'm going to go in order of, I think, oldest to newest. Might be interesting here. So our first card is 2 CMC.
Sorry, how much CMC?
It's 2, 1 and 1 white. It's called Marshalling the Troops. It's a sorcery. You tap any number of your creatures. You gain 4 life for each creature tapped this way. And this card is old enough, by the way, that its reminder text says tapped creatures can't block.
No, it is old. Oh.
Yeah. The second card, we're going to Soul's Attendant. It is a 1 CMC card for 1 white mana. It's a creature, human cleric, for a 1/1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain 1 life. Sounds like a white card. Sounds like a white card to it. And our final card we have is Ancestor Dragon. This one's 6 CMC, for 2 white, for a creature dragon 5/6. Big creature. It's flying. Whenever 1 or more creature you control attack, you gain 1 life for each attacking creature. Now, JT, which one of these is a lie?
So the Ancestor Dragon is the double white. The other 2 were single white, right?
Correct.
So, okay, here's my thought process in this. I feel like the Ancestor Dragon is the red herring. Because as soon as you said dragon, I went, oh, there aren't many white dragons, and there are a few white dragons. So I feel like that the Ancestor Dragon is the attempt to draw my attention away. Marshalling the Troops, boy, does that sound like a good old white card. But it was clearly very early on, so maybe that was back when they still hadn't fully established the color pie. Soul's Attendant was one when I heard him like, man, that sounds like a black card. I realize I am completely being Vizzini from The Princess Bride. And on the other hand, I'm just getting started.
I'm going to turn around and you're going to switch the glasses and I'm going to turn back. Even
what
though we're
in
not...
the world?
Even though there's no video, but there's a video portion, but we don't have webcams or anything, so it doesn't make any sense, but it's great.
What in the world? Okay, I am going to go with my gut and go with Soul's Attendant.
All right. And the answer is Marshalling the Troops was actually a green card back from, what is this? It's all the way back to Portal 3 Kingdoms. It is a green card.
So clearly they were still monkeying with the color.
They were still monkeying around, yeah.
Because I was like, oh, that is just a pure white card.
Mm-hmm. I was actually this actually kind of was hard for me to find 3 cards specifically for this. I knew I wanted Marshalling the Troops because I'm like, oh yeah, this is perfect because this sounds super white. It's talking about tapping a ton of tokeny creatures maybe to gain a whole ton of life. That sounds white for sure. But the rest of it was actually hard to find other cards that didn't sound purely white because he had angels. I'm like, if it's an angel, you're just be like, that's a white card, whatever, move on. And a lot of stuff. And yeah, your instincts was correct on Ancestor Dragon there to be like, that was me trying to throw. Okay, I'm gonna throw in a big creature in here. He's gonna might think that's something. So
well, it's a dragon. Like dragons are usually anything but white. But,
yeah, pretty much. Well, the tricky thing about that card too is that was a card from Global Series decks that came out, so like that didn't even get released here. So that's a little bit of a cheeky one to include since it wasn't like a worldwide release. It was just basically in Asia for that card. But we got there. Nice try. You almost got there at Souls Attend. It was just enough to throw you off, apparently.
So yeah, I mean, I had the right idea with the Marshalling the Troops. I just didn't trust it.
Which happened last time, I think. Your instinct was there, but you just like betrayed yourself. This game's fun. I like this game a lot. All right.
All right. One of these days, one of us will get the right answer.
One of these days.
Well, you did get the right answer last week.
Eventually.
It took right. Yeah, it took right to the set. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into what decks we have been playing this week. JT, what have you been into?
So, okay, I'm not going to go into butts again. That's mainly what I've been playing on. But I went back to a good old-fashioned deck in Historic to play a little bit in the ranked just actually before we started recording. And it's one of my favorites, and I actually did win the stylish way with it. So I'm going to bring it up here. This is a combination of a couple of Boros decks that I put together in Standard over the past few years. It mixes the Star of Extinction True Fire Captain style deck with Approach of the Second Sun and Sunbird's Invocation. This deck is ridiculous.
Let's go.
So it's got 3 Brash Taunters and 4 Stormwild Capradors.
Brash Taunter, baby. Nice.
So, and then you've got 4 Storm's Wrath and 4 Deafening Clarions so that you can do damage to everything, and the Brash Taunter directs that damage at the opponent. The Stormwild Caprador just turns that into +1/+1 counters. It's also got a couple Shatter Sky, a couple Fire Prophecy, 4 Sad Robots, and then you get into the top end, the 4 Sunbird's Invocations, which is a tremendous card if you haven't played with it. It is an enchantment for 5 and a red, which says that when you once it's out, when you cast a card, before that card resolves, you look at X cards from the top of your library, where X is the CMC of the card you just cast, and then you may cast a card for X or less. Mm-hmm. And then also here we have Star of Extinction, which does 20 damage to everything because you want to find the Star of Extinction. We have Brash Taunter out.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Approach of the Second Sun, which of course, if you cast your second, if you're casting an Approach of the Second Sun from your hand and one has already resolved, then you win the game. So I did actually win with the combo just a few minutes ago. I had the Sunbird's Invocation down, got the 7 mana, dropped playing against Merfolk, Simic Merfolk. I dropped the Approach of the Second Sun. So that allowed, with the Sunbird's Invocation, I look at the top 7. Sure enough, there's an Approach of the Second Sun. Play it. So the one that was found, that actually resolves first. Mm-hmm. And then the one I cast goes to resolve, and it asks, well, have you have you cast one already? Well, yes, we have.
That's awesome.
And that's game.
Man.
So I did that in paper a couple years ago. It was so much fun. It confused my opponent. My opponent's kind of like, wait a minute, what's going on? And somebody like 3 tables over, a friend of ours, you'll know Johnny, he just kind of pipes up, it means you lose.
That's perfect. Matt, this is what I really like about Historic, and I generally like Eternal formats in general. I don't really play Legacy because that's too expensive, but like Modern and stuff, and getting into Pioneer before things kind of went away there. But what I've really enjoyed so much of Historic is it's kind of bringing back some cards from like Standard from just a few years ago that maybe like we're never going to be good enough for Modern, so you're never going to see it again, or never going to be good enough for Legacy. So like Historic here to bring back the approach of the Second Son and that stuff, and that's awesome.
No, I agree. I think that's one of the fun things about it is seeing, okay, just because that's rotated out, I still want to play with that. Or, when they bring back cards from Kaladesh or they bring back cards from Amonkhet going, oh, I remember playing with this. Let's bring this one back.
Yeah, it's sweet. So, fun opportunity for doing that. Like that. That's a spicy deck, and I'm glad you pulled out the win with that one just recently now, too, because that's a fun way to win.
It feels so good.
Yeah, because
it feels so good.
Because I can even imagine on Arena, like someone playing that and going, hey, hold on, why did I lose? Why am I seeing the defeat screen? Like,
yeah, I know. I always hope. I always wonder, like, what are you wondering? What just happened?
That's amazing. That's the only unfortunate thing of there being no chat whatsoever in Arena. It's not someone's "What was that?" reaction.
Yeah.
But.
Maybe they need a WTF button.
Yeah, just
that could be hit post game.
just like a what happened? That'd be amazing. All right, so what I've been playing, and I'm actually just gonna go over the Historic Brawl deck I just played in your tournament, JT. Once again, links in the description for tournaments that JT does host. They're all a lot of fun, and I had a blast in this recent one because I decided to bring out not an Izzet deck, but still with the same idea of drawing tons of cards. I got Karuga the Macro Sage, and I'm going to read this card out just in case you don't know. So Karuga the Macro Sage, it is a 5 CMC 5/4 legendary creature dinosaur hippo. It's 3 colorless, 2 Simic. It's a companion, but we can ignore that for the sake that I'm making it the commander in this deck. When Karuga the Macro Sage enters the battlefield, you draw a card for each other permanent you control with converted mana cost 3 or greater. So I've loaded the deck, and I will also link below for that whole deck list. Just a ton of just 3 CMC rocks, just so I can ramp up and potentially just draw a bunch of cards by playing Karuga. And of course, I just have like big win conditions in some gods. I got God Eternal Ronus and God Eternal Kevnet, which on the hindsight, I might cut God Eternal Kevnet in the future. But anyway, Nezahal the Primal Titan's here. Slyn Foda is here. Lots of just big creatures to kind of ramp into. And then even if the opponent takes out my creatures, board wipes or whatever, I could replay Karuga, and since a lot of my mana rocks will still be on the board if they use the board wipe, I'm still drawing 3, 4, 5 cards, and then I'm just reloaded and ready to fight back again. It's really janky, but it is certainly fun. There's some dumb cards in here that I would... Scuttlemutt? What is Scuttlemutt? That's in there, I guess.
I have played Scuttlemutt once or twice, but yeah, I saw Scuttlemutt. So, firstly, Johnny and I played against each other, and I saw Scuttlemutt. I'm like, oh boy. But then, so what I do sometimes in the tournaments, if I'm not playing, and in this case I had to buy, then I ask one of the other people if they can to share their screen on Discord, which Johnny graciously did. So, yeah, the first game when you played the other guy in the tournament, you had mana rocks galore.
Oh, I drew all of
nothing
them.
else.
This deck definitely is not tuned. So if you're looking at the list, I would not play the exact list. I would probably make some adjustments. I already know what I'm going to be adjusting. There's probably just too many of those 3 mana rocks in here. There was too many times where I just kind of just drew a bunch of ramp and then I wasn't able to get there. The theory was that if I draw so much ramp, I play Karuga, I'm just going to draw through more cards anyway, and then I'll hopefully get to my win conditions. But I think this deck just needs more interaction, maybe more counter spells for the early game, or just more like bounce stuff, just to stall. Maybe even fogs. Maybe it might even be the way to go. I don't know.
But Turbo Fog.
Yeah, maybe Turbo Fog into this, because like we saw the one time I was able to kind of bring this into the late game on your stream, it was just like, boom, dropping big creatures over and over again. And then again, once you board wipe, I can just replay Karuga and then draw 3 or 4 more cards again because, again, all my mana rocks are still sitting on the battlefield, and I just keep going over and over again back at you. And it's just like, if I can get to that point, I don't really see a lot of ways for it to be stopped. But obviously, aggro definitely punishes my slow start with this deck because I'm just playing. For the first 3 turns, I play a bunch of mana rocks and don't play anything.
Yes. Yeah, and I think one of the games I beat you was because I know this makes me a horrible person, but I was playing Scoot Swarm and it went crazy.
Which is fair. Well,
Scoot Swarm with Yarok.
I tried to politic you in a 1v1 game, which doesn't work, to not kill me that turn because I could have played a kicker at Slim Voda the turn after when you had 100 Scoot Swarms out, but yeah, it didn't work.
Well, just I didn't see it, and then I thought, oh, I guess we could have stretched the game out. And then when you said, yeah, I had a Slim Voda, I'm like, oh, okay, no, good thing I didn't. I didn't hold back because that would have hurt.
That could have been bad. Yeah, so I actually think I'm almost a little bit excited by the thought of maybe actually trying Karuga out in Commander because maybe this would actually work where you can politic your way through the early game and try not to get destroyed in a way, but.
In Commander, too, I mean, if you're just dropping a bunch of mana rocks, now some people might get a little nervous about that in Commander.
No, it's just normal.
But yeah, well, it's true. And you're not doing anything offensive, right? So you're not that's part of the politicking of Commander is not drawing attention to yourself or drawing the ire of other people. And if all you're doing is playing mana rocks for 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah, especially 3 mana ones, which even in Commander is slow at this point. Most of the time you want to be at that 2 or less. But 3 mana ones are funny. And this one actually gave me reminded me about Ronus's Monument and Kefnet Monument and how good those cards actually are.
You were drawing a ton with the Kefnet's Monument.
Yeah. It just like. Great, so if you don't know, I'll read them both out to you. So for Kefnet's Monument, blue creatures spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and most of my creatures are Simic, so that it makes most of them cost less. And whenever you cast a creature spell, target creature in opponent control doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So that
you're drawing with Ron. Yeah, you're drawing with the other monument. Sorry.
Yeah. So that one does great. And then Ronus's Monument, it's green creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and whenever you cast a creature spell, target creature you control gets +2/+2 and trample. So that one still isn't drawing a card either, but it was just value when I had Karuga down, and then I just pressed another creature, and then it gave Karuga trample and +2/+2, and then maybe I drop God Eternal Ronus down, and then I'm doubling the power of each other creature control, and they have vigilance, and they're going in like that. That was one of my best plays of the day earlier in the tournament, and it worked out with that. And yeah, these monuments, aren't something to snuff at. They're pretty good.
and I would, I would recommend again. I said it last week, and I would say it again. The Historic Brawl is a lot of fun if you find the people to play with. And there's different Discord chats out there. It's a lot of fun, and I love getting to choose from the wide array of cards that are now on Arena.
Yeah, it's certainly fun. But all right, that has been the section where we talk about our decks this week. Hopefully we have some more spicy stuff for you next week. Again, I will put links in the description below where you can kind of find maybe deck lists for our decks there. But let's move on to some more Kaldheim previews. There's one card I want to talk about in particular, but I'll let you go first here. What is something you've been kind of getting excited about, JT?
Okay, so I've seen a few cards, and I'll get into a couple of those, but one I want to touch on because somebody pointed it out to me, and then I looked at it and went, well, of course. So a couple weeks ago I talked about the Giant Ox and how it will fit in beautifully into the Butts deck. It's an 06. But the other thing about that I'm not too worried about for the Butts deck, but it can crew a vehicle with its toughness.
Yeah.
So there is a new artifact vehicle. It is Colossal Plow. For 2 mana, artifact vehicle. And whenever Colossal Plow attacks, add 3 white and you gain 3 life. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. It's a 6/3 for 2 mana, but it has crew 6. So this is some of the most spectacular, but also just like heavy-handed flavor. We got the Ox, and we got the Plow. And the Ox is going to pull the plow. And I love it.
Yeah, which is absolutely silly and awesome. That would be great.
Yeah, I can just go over a couple others that have caught my eye. Tyrite Sanctum, this is a land. And by the way, I'm loving that the lands they put in the set, the colorless lands, they make them look like they're from like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like they look like the Tron, a lot of the Tron lands with the borders.
Yeah.
Anyways, Tyrite Sanctum looks like it would be awesome if you're making a Gods and Legendaries deck. Essentially what it does, it adds colorless, but also 2 and tap, target legendary creature becomes a god in addition to its other types, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and that's for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
4 and tap and sack it, put an indestructible counter on target god.
So build your own god, everybody.
Build your own god and just have a bunch of legendaries and have some, like I want to build a gods deck, and then, you know, you throw that in. Now, a couple of others. Ooh, yes. Where is In Search of Greatness? Sorry, I need to put. Here it is. The green enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent spell from your hand with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the highest converted mana cost among other permanents you control without paying its mana cost if you don't scry 1. This sounds like it could be bonkers.
Yeah.
Especially if you start getting big stuff out. My suggestion for you here is play this card before it gets banned.
Yeah. It seems like it could be absolutely insane.
Absolutely. It could be totally busted. I mean, the double green is a bit of a pain, but sure. I'll play 3 green, or I'll just play mono green and drop this, and then, next turn I've got a 3 mana, and on turn 4 I'm dropping a 4 mana creature for free. That seems dumb.
For sure. It could be like absolutely crazy. You're just gonna be able to do some super bananas things. Like there's obviously in the older formats, this card gets even crazier. There's like turn 1 Thought Scour, turn 2 discard, turn 3 Gurmag Angler, turn 4 Crystal Brand for free. Just like
it could be dumb.
There's some wild stuff that could potentially be going on.
I hadn't even thought of the Gurmag Angler one. Oh god.
Yeah.
And then the one other one I just want to touch on is we were starting to see hints about snow. It looks like they're going in pretty heavy on snow. And the Icebreaker Kraken. 10 in double blue for a snow creature. It's an 8/8, but it costs 1 less to cast for each snow land you control. Well, it doesn't take long before an 8/8 becomes dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And when it enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures target opponent controls don't untap during that player's next untap step. And then return 3 snowlands you control to their owner's hand. Return Icebreaker Kraken to its owner's hand.
Which is great for landfall decks. My only issue with this card is I think they wanted to be a little conservative with it because they were scared if it also tapped all the creatures when it entered that it would be really, really rough. Or they also didn't make it all opponents for commander. They made it target opponent. So that is the other thing that makes it like maybe this won't like be a commander staple or anything. So it's interesting, and I think if you're playing a heavy snow deck and you do this big thing, you could fairly easily make this a 2 mana 8/8, and that sounds just great on its own.
For sure.
My only initial thought is that they potentially were just scared of giving it that it also tapped everything right away, because they were a little bit scared that it was just going to be too powerful at that point, so they didn't want to push it that hard. But this card is hard for me to think if this will end up being a bulk rare or be like a super favorite thing. But it could just be janky and fun, which is always great anyway.
Well, I think that's why I'm attracted to it, right? It's a janky card.
Either way. All right, so I want to talk about one card in particular, and thank you for saving it for me, JT, because I know you knew what I want to talk about. Birgi, God of Storytelling.
Oh my god, yes.
Has a lot of text on it. It's even a modal double-face card, but I basically only care about 1 line of text on the whole card. But basically, it's a 3 CMC card, 2 generic, 1 red for legendary creature god. It's 3/3. Fine stats. We're going good there. Whenever you cast a spell, add red. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. The card could stop there. And I'm just like, yay. I'm playing this in almost every Izzet deck I play. It wouldn't go in Storm. I think it's still too slow for Storm being 3 mana. It probably would have if it was 2. Maybe you play this in Storm still. I don't know. I don't know if you replace Goblin Electromancer with this. Maybe as a one of, maybe. But anyway, it keeps going though. Creatures you control can boast twice during each of your turns rather than once. That's fine. That's a nice, like, maybe you'll build around a boast deck. I'll probably at least try it once. But again, I already don't care what the rest of this card says. On the other side, it's a Harnfell, Horn of Bounty. It's 4 colorless, 1 red for a legendary artifact. You can discard a card, exile top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. This is just nice in a standard or historic format where you're going to play 4 of this, and then the redundancy of the card, you don't get punished for drawing an extra Birgi. You could just play the other side of this card instead. Obviously, like in Commander, you're only going to have like one of them, or in Brawl, you're only going to have one of them anyway, so it's not like that matters that much. So like this half of the card is nice if you're going to play it in a deck that plays multiple copies, obviously. But either way, the first side of it, this going straight into Joyra. Obviously, I play this card. It draws a card. It essentially will make most of my mana rocks that are like 2 mana or 1 mana either 0 or 1. I have Joyra's Familiars out. A lot of my deck is free at that point whenever I play a card. So this is going to be a fun card for me to play around with, and I'm excited, very, very excited for Birgi here.
Now, I've got to say, knowing your penchant for playing Izzet and loving to draw cards, that there is one other card that I'm actually surprised didn't come up, and I've, like, as I was going through, and I'm trying to find it here, as I was going through making... As I was making my notes, I even... There it is. I wrote, how excited are you for Izzet spells? It is Ovar the All-Form. It is 3 and a blue for a legendary creature shapeshifter changeling. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
How did I miss this card? I must have just missed it.
And then when a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent.
Oh, you can't even make me discard it. That's fantastic. Yeah, this card's awesome.
I just saw them like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, copy instants and sorceries. Yeah, that story checks out.
Yeah, I think this card got spoiled on the same day Birgi got spoiled, and I stopped paying attention to anything. I think that's the only thing that happened there. But that sounds like a great card, too, for sure.
I figured that would be up your alley. But yeah, Birgi sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fun to throw that in artifact decks or, again, in any sort of spell slinging stuff that I just like to do because I just like spinning my tires over and over again. Even if I don't actually get anything done. It'll be hilarious. Even if you have to get rid of that mana, at least there's no mana burn. Yeah, well, yeah. At least except for that one new commander, but hopefully I never have to face that.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that brings us to the conclusion of our episode this week. JT, do you have anything you'd like to plug at this time?
Yeah. So. Just a quick plug for our stream, which is coming up this Wednesday. That is January the 27th. It is early access day. And as one of the Magic content creator part of that program, I will have early access to Kaldheim. So I will be streaming for most of the day. So check us out at twitch.tv/jankyardmtg. I'll be doing draft, and I'll be building decks with all the Kaldheim fun that, it looks like it's going to be a bonkers set. Lots of cool stuff. So we'll definitely be building it and playing different decks through that day. And otherwise, check out our streams. We run tournament streams on Thursday nights. That's Historic Brawl, and then rotating formats Sunday mornings in my time, afternoon and evening in other parts of the world. And come check that out. All our tournaments are run on mtgmelee.com. And as always, if you want to support us, check us out at patreon.com/jankyardmtg.
Awesome. Thank you. And the one thing I will plug, as always, is Meta Break Apparel. We got everything from shirts and sweaters. I'm working on making a design for like sweatpants and stuff too, and like
Nice.
Yoga pants and stuff. So that'll be coming out too. Check that stuff out at retouchmedia.com/metabreak. Links, of course, will also be in the description of this show. As well, just follow me on stuff at Jonny Esports. That's JONNY Esports on Instagram, Twitter, everything. So you can check that stuff out. And of course, if you enjoyed any part of this podcast and you like supporting the show, please feel free to click that like button and of course subscribe to the channel and share this with people because that's fun. I'm going to be real here. Most of me doing this is just an excuse for me to chat with JT, but if anyone else just wants to enjoy our conversations, do it. That'll be great.
Yeah, and it's fun, and playing the games is a blast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's fun trying to challenge each other. And one of these days, I'm going to get one right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everyone. Thank you once again for listening. We'll catch you next week. Next week, maybe because all the cards are spoiled, I'm sure you're thinking of decks and stuff. Maybe we come out and do like mini deck techs for some Kaldheim brews that we're doing.
Sounds
and
great.
Of course, you'll have already have played some because you're in the preview thing. So you could probably just talk about whatever deck you played, and I'll brew something. I'm sure.
Sounds
right.
awesome.
All right, bye everyone. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.